Hello everyone. So we have already derived formula for optimal futures price. We would like to do the same thing for options. However, deriving optimal options price requires some assumptions about the movement of share prices. Hence, today we will just try to find some bounds on the prices of options. So let me first introduce the notations. We would first start with call options, European call options. So let S naught be the price of the asset or the share at the current time point. So price of the underlying asset at t equal to 0. T equal to 0 means current time point. Okay. Then R is the risk-free rate of interest. Then capital T is expiry time for the option. Expiry or maturity, you can say anything. Expiry time for the option. S at capital T is price of the underlying asset at time capital T. And K, capital K, be the strike price. Strike price means it is the price which you are going to get under call option. So under call option you get a right to buy the asset at a certain pre-decided price. So that price is strike price K. Okay. So as I said, we will try to find a bound. Let us try to find a lower bound. So it is said that the lower bound for call option price is maximum of 0, S naught minus K e raised to minus RT. Okay. So C is the price of the call option. European call option. It is small c. So C must be greater than maximum of these two. Now C must be greater than 0 is obvious. You can't have a negative price. So C must be greater than 0. However, we need to justify why this lower bound works. Okay. Remember, whenever we are going to derive price, the guiding principle is no arbitrage assumption. Okay. So it means that if this lower bound is violated, means if C is smaller than this S naught minus K raised to minus RT, then it must lead to arbitrage opportunity. So let us try to figure out if we can locate that arbitrage opportunity. Okay. So let C be less than S naught minus K e raised to minus RT. So this is like, we are trying to give a proof by contradiction. You must have done this in real analysis. So what we want to prove ideally is C is greater than this. So we take C less than this and we would arrive at a problem. That is, we would arrive at an arbitrage opportunity. Okay. So suppose C is less than this, means C is actually smaller than what it should be. Because ideally we know it should be larger than this. We are trying to prove it should be larger than this. So if C is cheaper, then you would be interested in buying the call option. Okay, that probably would lead to arbitrage opportunity. Now buying means taking long position in call option. So for buying option, you are going to need this C rupees. And you are an arbitrager, so you are not going to use your own money. So from where do you get this C rupees? There are two possibilities. You either take a loan from the bank or you short sell a share. Okay. Now see, you are going to take a long position in call option. Means at time 0 you are planning to buy the call option, which you would hopefully exercise at time t. If you exercise option at this time, it means you are going to need money to exercise the option, because exercising call option means you are going to buy the asset. So if you are going to buy the asset, you are going to need money at this point also, and by using that money you are going to get a share or whatever the underlying asset is. Okay, so if you take a loan from the bank at this time point, that is not going to work, because here also you are going to need money again. You can't return that money to bank. So the another way is getting money by short selling the asset. Okay, so that's what we will do. So at t equal to 0, short sell the asset and get S0. By selling the asset you get S0. Short sell means you have borrowed the asset and you have sold the asset. So you get S0. Okay. Now use C from S0 to buy a European call option with expiry time T and strike price K, and of course the asset has to be on the the option has to be on the same asset. Okay, so if you are talking about say shares of Infosys, then your option also has to be on shares of Infosys. Okay, so strike price K. Now you have some money left. So what you are going to need at time t is, at time t if you exercise the option you are going to need K rupees. Okay, so at time t if you need K rupees, today you need to invest K e raised to minus RT in the bank, because then only you can get K at time t. It would earn interest during this period. Okay, so invest K e raised to minus RT in the bank. Now, do you really have enough money to do both these things? So your gain is, the money that you have earned right now is S0 by short selling. Out of that you are using C for call option and you are using K raised to minus RT from bank. But because we have assumed that C is less than this, we know that this quantity is positive. So you have enough money, in fact you have some money left. So this actually becomes your profit at time 0. Okay, whatever is this quantity, it is positive. So this becomes your profit at time 0. Okay. Now what happens at time capital T? At time capital T there are two possibilities. ST less than K, ST greater than K. So ST less than K and ST greater than K. If ST is less than K, that means that the asset is available in the market at a smaller price. You get K from bank, because you had invested K raised to minus RT in the bank. You get that amount back. Use ST to buy the asset and return. It to the original owner, because you had short sold it, means you had borrowed it. So you return the asset. So K minus ST becomes your profit, because you had gotten K from bank, out of which you have used only ST. So this is your profit at time T. Okay. What happens if ST is greater than K? If the market price of the asset is greater than K, then you exercise the option. So in this scenario, option is not exercised, because anyway you are getting things in the market at a smaller price. Here option will be exercised. Use K from bank to buy the asset and return it. Okay, so my profit, there is no profit, no loss, because you got K from the bank and you used the entire amount. Okay, so what does it mean? It means that at time t equal to 0 there is a definite profit, and at time t equal to capital T there is either a profit or no profit, no loss. So if I consider together, there is a definite risk-free profit irrespective of whether ST is less than K or ST is greater than K. Correct? Because at time t equal to 0 I have profit irrespective of what is the stock price. Hence this is an arbitrage opportunity. Okay. Therefore C must be larger than S0 minus K raised to minus RT. C must be larger than S0 minus K raised to minus RT. And of course C must be greater than 0. Hence C should be greater than maximum of 0 comma this. Is it okay? So here we followed the same type of argument that we have been using earlier. The presentation of the argument can be changed slightly by using what is known as portfolio approach. So the argument is essentially same, the presentation is slightly different. So what is a portfolio approach? So generally we can present the same thing via construction of portfolios. So suppose there are two portfolios, portfolio A and portfolio B. Then the no arbitrage assumption would mean that if at say t equal to 0 worth of portfolio A is less than worth of portfolio B, then the relationship should continue at every time point. Okay, so maybe here I indicate the time. So this is 0, then this is t. Why? Because if the relationship changes, means if at t equal to 0 WA is less than WB, however at t equal to capital T, WB is larger than WA, however at capital T, if suppose WA is larger than WB, then it means that at t equal to 0 WA is cheaper and at t equal to capital T it is more expensive. So what I can do is I can short sell portfolio B at time 0. Whatever money I get from that, I buy portfolio A at time 0. It is anyway cheaper, so I get some profit here. Then at time capital T, I sell A, and whatever money I get from that, I buy back B. It is anyway cheaper, so here also I get profit. Okay, so if the relationship is reversed, or even if say one is less and another is equal, then there is an arbitrage opportunity. Hence, the relationship between the worths of the portfolios should remain constant throughout the time. That is again equivalent to no arbitrage assumption. So we can use the portfolio approach to derive the lower bound that we derived just now. So we will construct two portfolios. So portfolio A consists of a call option and cash k e raised to minus RT. Okay. Portfolio A consists of one European call option, of course with strike price K and expiry time capital T, etc., and on the same asset, and cash k e raised to minus RT. Whereas portfolio B consists of one share. Okay, this is at time 0. So at time 0, worth of portfolio A is, you have a call option. Now you have a call option means it's worth something to you. So how much it is worth? It is worth its cost. So C plus cash k e raised to minus RT. So this is worth of portfolio A. And worth of portfolio B is one share. So at time 0, share price is S0. Okay. Now what happens at time capital T? At time capital T, this portfolio A, there are two possibilities. So again, either ST is less than K or ST is greater than K. If ST is less than K, means if the market price is less than the strike price, then option is not exercised. C not exercised. But you have K, cash K, because original cash was K raised to minus RT. So it would now become K. C is not exercised and anyway C is expired, so C becomes 0. But K is there, so worth is, portfolio worth is K. Okay. If ST is greater than K, then what happens? C is exercised. But again, if exercised, still it becomes 0. So you get, you use this cash K to buy the asset, and now you have one asset. So worth of that asset is actually ST, because market worth of that asset is ST. So now worth of the portfolio becomes ST instead of K. Okay. So this is worth of portfolio A under two different scenarios. And what is the worth of portfolio B? Portfolio B consists of only one asset, one unit of the asset. So worth of portfolio B is ST under both scenarios. Okay. So here it is equal, and here we know that ST is less than K. So worth of portfolio B is less than or equal to worth of portfolio A at time capital T. Okay. So the no arbitrage assumption tells me that even at time 0, the same relationship should hold. So no arbitrage tells me that worth of portfolio B at time 0 must be less than or equal to worth of portfolio A at time 0. So this is S0 must be less than or equal to C plus K e raised to minus RT, that is S0 minus K e raised to minus RT should be less than or equal to C. So C should be greater than or equal to this. Okay. Hence we are getting the same bound even by portfolio approach. Okay. So this was a lower bound for call option price. Can we have an upper bound? So upper bound for call option price is actually S0. Hence we have C must be always less than S0, the current asset price. Now why? What happens if C is greater than or equal to S0? So if C is greater than or equal to S0, then it means that call option is worth much more than it ideally should be. So maybe selling call option is a good strategy. Okay, so what we can do in this scenario is we can sell the call option. Now for selling the call option, you don't need to borrow it because it is an option. It is not an asset. It's not anything tangible, right? So you sell the call option and get amount C, then small c, then use S0 to buy the asset and keep it with you. So at time 0 you get profit of C minus S0 . Okay, so this was about lower bound. We can also have an upper bound for call option price. So C must be less than or equal to S0. That is an upper bound. Why? Let us follow the same argument. What happens if C is greater than S0? If C is greater than S0 means that the call option is costing much more than it should be. So we will be selling call option because that is more profitable. So you sell a call option. For selling a call option you don't need to borrow it because it's an option. It's not an asset. It's not something tangible. Okay. So you sell a call option and get amount C. Use S0 from that to buy the asset. So at t equal to 0, your profit is C minus S0 because you got C and used only S0, and C minus S0 is positive under our current assumption. Okay. And at capital T what happens? At capital T, if the option is exercised or if the option is not exercised, in either scenario it is fine. We are just that share would go away from us and we would get some money in return of that share. So we would either get K or we would get ST. But it is okay because anyway we did not invest any of our own money. Okay. So there is a pure profit, risk-free profit, and hence C should not be greater than S0. So C must always be less than or equal to S0. So we have upper as well as lower bound for European call option. What about put option? So for put option also similar bounds can be derived. That is now homework for you. So for put option, the lower bound is K e raised to minus RT minus S0. So it is just a negative of what is the bound for call option. So lower bound for put option is this, and upper bound for put option is K e raised to minus RT. Okay. It is your homework to prove both these bounds, lower as well as upper. Try to use both the approaches, usual no arbitrage assumption approach as well as the portfolio approach. Okay. What about American options? Now in European option and American option, what is the difference? In European option, we can exercise the option only at time t, whereas in American option, we can exercise it throughout. So American option is giving us more choice, more flexibility. Us means the option holders. Hence, it should cost more. Something which provides you more facilities would be worth more. Hence, American option prices, which are denoted by capital C and P, are always greater than European option prices. Okay, greater than or at least equal to. Hence, the lower bounds would work even for American options because they are somewhere here, right? So even for American option, those lower bounds would work. Okay. Now one small point. While deriving all these things, we took time 0 and time t. But it doesn't have to be only about 0 and t. It may happen that somewhere here at some in between time point t, one person wants to sell the call option. The only thing is my maturity time would now change from capital T to capital T minus small t. Okay, and time 0 is now like time t. So the bounds would change accordingly. So for put option, the bounds would become k raised to minus r t minus st comma 0. This becomes the lower bound, and upper bound becomes k raised to minus r t minus t, capital T minus small t. Okay, same thing you'll have to do for call option. So these bounds work throughout, because as we mentioned in the portfolio agreement, whatever is the relationship between the worths of the two portfolios, it should remain constant for all the time points. Okay, then only no arbitrage is guaranteed. Is it okay? So let me stop here. Thank you.